This is a Talk2Jack podcast with UnkuJack, exploring topics on heart, mind, soul, and the human experience. Let's talk. Hello, everyone. How are you today? I hope everyone's doing great. Welcome to another episode of the Talk2Jack podcast. I am your host, UnkuJack, and I'm here with another fun episode. Well, I don't know if it's fun, but it's definitely something that I think is important. So recently, I was thinking about a case that I had come across recently. There was a manager who had recently taken over control of a small to medium business and as the managing director. And he came in with a lot of great ideas about how the business should run. And if you're looking to shape a business, then that is very important to have your own ideas, to have your own philosophies and things about how things should be done. And he hit the ground running. And within a few days, everything was changing. And I mean, everything was changing. Now, change in and of itself is not a bad thing. If you come into an environment that is not performing optimally, that is not doing or being the best that it could be, it is important to take steps to correct things. However, changing things blindly can lead to devastating results. In a way, I can relate it to a scientific principle. We see it in sci-fi a lot, called terraforming. Terraforming is the act of changing an environment to make it more habitable to a certain type of life form or a certain type of organism or something that would sustain itself in that environment. An example would be if we make it to Mars as the human race, we would probably not be able to live on the surface of Mars the way it currently is. And so we would need to build habitats that sustain our type of life. And so we would, have oxygen-rich environments. We would create more gravity-rich environments in those habitats and so on and so forth. But if we were to colonize Mars and to expand the human race into Mars, most likely we would start to seek out ways to change the landscape of Mars somewhat to make it more habitable for humans in the long term. So we will need to gain access to water. We would need to find a way to get water. We would need to find a way to allow crops to grow. We would need to find a way to get oxygen on the surface of Mars so that it can sustain human life, and so on and so forth. And that is no easy task to do. Terraforming is not an easy task. And depending on the environment you're trying to change or you're trying to form, you can meet with extreme obstacles. And those obstacles, if you don't approach them the right way, will lead you to failure. And the same thing can occur in our lives when we find ourselves in new situations. We all think at our core that we are right. We all think at our core that we know the best way to do things. At the very least, we feel more comfortable and more familiar with things that we know. And so it is only natural that when you're in a new environment, you want to do at least little things to make it feel more habitable for you. You want to change some of the lingo. Maybe you want to change the way the office looks a little bit to make it more of your own. Maybe you want to change how people interact with each other to make it feel more familiar to you. You get into a new relationship scenario. A lot of times you're subtly changing things about your environment or your person. If you move in with someone, for instance, you will want a touch of yourself in that space, in that environment. And nothing, once again, wrong with that in and of itself. But if you are making too many changes too quickly without recourse to the natural organisms that exist in that environment, to the way things are for the other habitants of that environment, you will meet with resistance. You will end up maybe making the environment more habitable for you, but destroying the environment for the natural creatures that live in that environment. We could take this all the way back to humanity and the way we've acted with our planet and not taking care of it the way we have. As we evolve and we want to make things better and easier for ourselves, we have done so to the detriment of our planet in a lot of ways, and we've done so to the detriment of the naturally occurring organisms that coexist on this planet with us. And that's just an illustration. I'm not trying to take up a cause here or to carry a torch, but just as an illustration, when you try to terraform, when you try to extreme terraform, when you try to bulldoze your way through making changes to make an environment more habitable for yourself, you need to be conscious of the fact that your decisions and your actions could be destroying the essence of life for other life forms that share that space with you. So what do you need to do to make terraforming a more pleasant and a more cohabiting experience for both you and other tenants in your space and in your environment? Well, the first thing and the most important thing is that you need to take stock of what the habitat is. You need to understand the terrain. You need to understand the environment you're in. You need to understand what goes on there, maybe even how things became this way. Why does your new girlfriend prefer to have the toilet roll over or under? By the way, it should roll over, not under. But why does she prefer it that way? And why do you prefer it under? And is it a deal breaker? Must it roll over or under? Can you compromise on that? If it's not important, then let it go. And that's the second thing. If it's not important, let it go. Don't try to force changes that will make you comfortable, but will make other people uncomfortable if it is not a priority, if it is not important to the overall goal or objective. Number 3, understand that speed is not always your friend. Sometimes doing too much too quickly will create more destruction than it will help or that it will help to build. Sometimes patience, timing, speed, or a lack thereof are more important than doing things quickly. Understanding the terrain, taking your time to effect the changes, allowing time for changes to occur more naturally, for changes to be more accepted by your cohabitants, will enable you to create a more seamless transition from an arid, rough terrain that you're not comfortable with into a terrain that is more comfortable for you and the other parties. So, terraforming in and of itself, not bad. Terraforming too quickly without consideration for others, trying to change the environment into something that suits you is selfish without considering others. That's my basic thought for today. I hope that as you go on in your day, in your week, and the months ahead, you'll give a little bit more thought to how your actions and the things that you try to change, the changes you try to effect in your environments, both new and existing, have an impact on others. And hopefully you can learn to come to a compromise where not just you are comfortable, but yourself and the people that you share a space with in that home, in that office, in that planet are taken care of. Anyway, that's my thought for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. Please follow us on social media, UnkuJack, that's UnkuJack, on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can also check out our website at jackandi.com. That's jackandi.com. You can send us an email to info@jackandi.com as well, or send us a DM on our social media platforms. Follow us on Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. I hope you stay safe. Have a great day. Have a great week. And as always, be inspired. This has been the Talk2Jack podcast with UnkuJack. Tune in next time for another episode.